They were executing that one entity with another entity. Whereas representatives represent the people, so we want to know where the money is and where the money is going. Just some questions about the 17th Amendment, why it was passed and when it was passed. The amendment number 18, liquor is abolished. This was an irrational amendment. It should be limited to the states according to Article 1, Section 8 and 9 and the 10th Amendment. And it was quickly repealed. I won't even talk about the 21st Amendment because this is liquor being abolished, then repealed quickly after. Actually, it was about 12, 13, 14 years after. Amendment number 19, women allowed to vote. It's about time. What took so long? The 20th Amendment, presidential and congressional terms. It's just defining how long they're in office, not term limits. Remember that. Term limits have not been established for the Congress. Now, Amendment 22, which remember 21 is the abolition of, or repealing of the liquor regulation. 22 is term limits. So you have 21 is terms, how long they're in office, as in the number of years before they get voted. But our president has term limits. Our Congress does not. And there's a reason why the founders didn't have that. If you remember my talk on Washington, he knew when he was done. Congressmen today don't. Likely because this was interesting. They didn't see the need because the limited power of the president. Why are you limiting the person that has the least amount of power from being president? But FDR did a lot of things that went beyond what the Constitution said, and so that's actually when it was implemented. Amendment 23, this tells how Washington, D.C. gets the vote for the president, and they don't get any more electors than the smallest state. That's an important point. So Washington, D.C., no matter how many people they get, in lobbyists and all sorts of people working there, they get no more than the least populated state in the union. And this is the final of the amendments. You can't be taxed to go vote for somebody. Poor people should be able to go vote. So anti-poll taxes, amendment number 24. Amendment 25 is who's next in line after the president, vice president, and then sequentially. 18-year-olds can vote, amendment number 26, and then limiting congressional pay and increases, amendment 27. I don't think it did a good enough job, but we're all paying the consequences, whether it did or not. That is the Constitution roadmap. That will give you the insight to know where to look, where to find it, and I hope that the questions that you asked along the way are questions that you will continue to ask yourself and challenge. Why did the founders do this? Because they weren't perfect. Remember that. And then why did they do this? Because they were really smart. So I hope you guys enjoyed the class. And if you have any questions, I'm 5 minutes over and I apologize. Please feel free to ask.
Can you just point out again, I'm sorry, in Section 8, Article 1, Section 8, the commerce area and the general welfare?
Yes.
Thank you.
So the Article 1, Section 8, if you go down to this, not the first line where it says to borrow money on the credit of the United States, the line right after that, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states in the Indian tribe.
Yep.
And then you wanted the necessary and proper, right? The necessary and proper is all the way at the very bottom. It says to make laws which shall be necessary and proper for execution. The very important word there is execution, carrying into execution the foregoing powers. Circling the word foregoing means that they're only allowed to make laws that are consistent with the original Article 1, Section 8 document.
General welfare?
General welfare is at the very top. It says Congress shall have the power.
Got it, I'm dead. Thank you.
There?
Yes,
Okay, great.
thank you so much.
Yes.
Maybe you could point out, question came up, I guess somebody asked the senator whether they would be using the same health insurances as the general population, and they kind of didn't answer. I forget, you heard it. And someone brought up that was against the Constitution, really, for whatever the people get, the people that we elect should, you know what I mean? Is there something in there?
I actually disagree with that statement.
Okay, so go ahead. That's what. Could you
So
explain that?
if you'll notice, it talks about congressional pay, but it doesn't talk about congressional benefits. They haven't amended the Constitution to include benefits. So whatever they pass for the United States people, which admittedly, there's a number of things that I would have you ask questions about. If you want me to give you a list of questions, education.
Yeah.
Education is a question in Article 1, Section 8. It's not in there. You deal with Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. welfare itself, you deal with the drug program that should be run by the states, the way that drugs are attacked and dealt with. So you have a number of things that are not listed in here. There's no benefits for congressmen, senators. There's no benefits for them. They only get a pay. So that would make them leave office really fast if you didn't have a pension program and you didn't have health insurance. They would be in, they would be out, they would do their job. So
That's right.
Very interesting.
just a thought.
I
Any other
think what she was
questions?
trying to say was it is illegal for them to have the pension program.
It is.
Or
No,
a
she was
separate
asking.
healthcare
She was
program.
asking if they pass something for the people, are they allowed to have something else?
No.
No.
I wanted, like what you were saying.
Oh, what's that?
This isn't the right to have this package where you have your benefits until you die and
Oh, right.
That isn't supported
Nowhere.
in the Constitution.
Nowhere.
And so if we want Congress and the Senate to have the same insurance as we do, okay, we, the people, can say that. Nowhere in the Constitution is
Absolutely.
this something that is a right for them.
Absolutely.
That's
There are-
what I was
How do
saying.
they do this? How do they effectively give themselves the power to do exactly what they've done?
Well,
They stole it.
if you remember what
I think
Jefferson
we need a
said,
lot of rope,
if
a lot of
you,
trees.
if you remember what Jefferson said, or I'm sorry, if you remember what
Oh, put it on the public square, man.
there was a judge that said the Constitution was written to be understood by the voters, and I think that no one understood it. I mean, it seems like a simple question. We did it in 45 minutes. We covered the entire Constitution. I didn't do a phenomenal job of it, and there's a lot of questions still unanswered. But I'll tell you this, that if the voters don't realize what the Constitution says, they'll never know what it doesn't say. And then as soon as you start voting things that it doesn't say, how do you stop a freight train?
How does whoever give, who is it, Nebraska, this special right, and everybody else has to pay for health care? I don't understand how that can even happen. That just sounds like it's blatantly illegal.
I think they just write it on a piece of paper and then they sign it. It's that simple. I mean, if you think about how most voters deal with the government process. They walk up once every 2 years or once every 4 years and they punch a little card and they push it and they think they've done their job. Well, let me make it just that easy for a congressman or a senator. All they have to do is fill out the right wording on the paperwork and then they push the button and they vote yes or no. It's no different. Until we participate more in the process, we're not going to be able to limit what they do. Until we understand what this document says, if we don't pledge to this document rather than a flag that is kind of, not really valuable right now, if we don't know what this document says, then they can do exactly that. They can do that as often and as many times as they want.
We were, I didn't know if we were kidding or if we were serious, talked about Amendment 28. Can we, the people, go ahead and put something in for this Amendment 28? Especially since the congressional benefit was never written about. We're also aware of it now.
Yeah.
So can we, the people?
So the
What
people
can we do?
can't make a constitutional amendment, but let me say this. If one of you, actually, if everybody in this room called the same House of Representative person, because the state legislature, so the state legislatures can sponsor the bill. Now, it's a little bit more difficult because it has to go into every state with the exact same language. You know, they're always changing language of
Right.
bills in Congress. So it has to go to every state with the exact same language. But if a bill is sponsored by the states, 3/4 of the states can pass an amendment to the Constitution. Or a repeal, if you want to repeal any of the amendments.
So that's how we would get term limits for congressmen.
That is exactly how you get term limits for congressmen.
By sponsoring.
Because states, Florida has term limits, and actually USTermLimits.org is a great organization.
Okay.
Phil Blumel, his father, Phil Blumel's father, I believe, is on the board of the Constitution Committee of the United States.
Okay.
So term limits is possible. And if each of you called your senators or state representatives that are in Tallahassee, and each of us here, how many are there? 20, 15 people? They would think that represents 150,000 people, and they would freak out. And they would do almost exactly what you told them to do.
But they just switch chairs like they're doing now.
Well, because they're term limited.
I know, but
And
they,
so-
they want to stay politicians.
They do want to stay
Yeah.
politicians.